The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect Show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect Show. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenmann, and today I'm joined on the show once again by Gus Sevastos from Dutchie. Gus, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Stephen.
Today on the show, we're going to dig a little bit more into Dutchie, talk about the 2.0 platform, what's coming next with Connect and Nexus, touch a little bit on, what you've debuted at MJ BizCon, as well as talk about what's happening in Minnesota as it relates to where operators are currently at, and talk about how that's going to change, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. Depending on when you watch this episode, you may, be in a completely different place, but all we can talk about and all we can control is the now. So it was really great to talk to you today. I'm looking forward to the episode and appreciate you being back on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me back.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
We were on a call yesterday with a brand that's going to be coming on strong in 2026, and they're going to be dropping like an olive oil line and like a infused line. So it's whatever milligrams it will be, but it's not. It's meant as an ingredient for the at-home edible experience. And I think I know this brand has done the work in preparation. They're not just like launching it willy-nilly, as they say, but to think hey, how do I go one step from ready-made good to ingredient to an olive oil, for example, the creativity that empowers the consumer. Then I thought, wow, I mean, they're not the first one to do it, but the way that they're going to be doing it with a full line of mix-ins, essentially, at the AU level, at the dispensary level, versus we've seen spices and sugars, and we've seen a host of things that the OCM has swatted away on the hemp side. But I really think this is going to be, it's going to be more empowering for the consumer that wants to do it on their terms and not just be subjected to a 22% flour or a 10 milligram or 20 milligram gummy. Hey everybody, Stephen with Canna Connect, taking a quick minute to shout out today's sponsor, CEE. That is the Center for Energy and Environment. If you're not familiar with CEE, they're your one-stop shop for all lighting rebates. If you are in XL Energy territory and you're a micro business, CEE is somebody that you need to talk to. Give Brad a call, give Tony a call, go online, one-stop shop, LED lighting rebates. They'll help take care of up to 60% of the costs associated with your grow and your build-out with the lighting. Really nice people, great people to work with, huge sponsors of Canna Connect, and give them a shout. That's CEE, Center for Energy and Environment. Things like that.
Well, what's the biggest obstacle for people making their own edibles is the fact that it's making it's not that we just go, oh, okay, I make, the cookie dough, and then I take the flour and I just toss that right in and pop in the oven. There we go. I've had friends that, tell me about their canna butter making processes. Okay, we get cheesecloth and we can do all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We found during the pandemic, we found a pretty easy method that just involves baking, shatter concentrate to carb it and then mixing that in. So Rice Krispie treats, stuff like that, it's pretty easy. But also if I just had an olive oil or some kind of thing that I can mix into food I'm already making, that would be ideal because it's like you said, I like that control. I like to be able to make my own dose. Maybe somebody's curious and I don't want to terrify them, so I'll go real light with it, but just give them a nice bite, But I think I think we were kind of talking before we started here just about how we're getting to this place where I think we've gotten out of oh wow, here's all the ways that you can smoke cannabis, and now we're in this this phrase of here we are, there's new ways you can consume cannabis. And it's like, oh, wow, a new type of edible. It's like, no, we're actually going to have things that people who want to take this to the level of like, well, I don't want a gummy, but I want this to be, I want to make my own pasta sauce and I want to put, the pasta sauce and infuse it,
ready-made infused oils, saving you the hassle of making the butters because after you make the butter, you still have to make the brownie.
Yeah. Still have to make the brownie. And then too, you don't know what kind of efficacy your butter is going to have. Like, is this butter, I've had friends that are like, hey, I made you edibles and it's like great. And then some of them, they're like, how were they? And you're like, I ate the whole bag of cookies and they're just really good cookies. And then I had one friend who gave me, 3 like snickerdoodle cookies. She's like, be careful with those, and you're like,
you can smell it.
Okay, all right. And then, you eat one and the next thing you're just sitting on the couch like, please help me. Very please.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that ratio or like that dosage that you can kind of like actually control versus something that is, because I think we might have talked about this last time, but it's kind of that thought of like, 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams isn't necessarily right for everybody. Some people might be much happier with like a 2.5,
That's right.
And just to be able to have something where it's like, okay, like you pick how much you want, you can really tailor the experience you're looking for versus, I think it's cool that we have new options that are available to the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
that are going to come out like that or that are out like that. Like I think I mentioned, everybody loves the Bear. One of the dispensaries I've worked with in Chicago, they sold infused jardinera, like the spicy peppers for the Italian beef sandwiches, like basil, so it's like there's a market for that. Like there is, people want stuff like that, like they want, and it's just really that, we want choices. I think like just ask anybody about anything, when it comes to like streamers, like we want unlimited, like I want to be able to see like all the possibilities I could have, even if I'm going to watch, Better Call Saul like over again, like I still want to know everything that's in that like Netflix catalog. So,
well, and to bring it back to cannabis, I think about the, there's a large population or a large conglomerate of nurses in Minnesota that have started to identify as cannabis nurses, and are starting to do more education because it probably wears on them the years and years of only being limited into the pharmaceuticals that are suggested at hospitals and clinics, and often the word that comes up is titrating, which is like increasing your dose or upping your dose, but doing it in a way that's measurable. And that's where I think, like, let's say this brand is going to launch a liter full of olive oil. I just like that the consumer is not having to choose the dose at the store. They're choosing the dose in their kitchen.
Correct.
And then afterwards from their fridge and from the pantry and things like that. So I love where this brand is headed, and I know they're going to do great work. And I also know they're working with Dutchie. So it's a good full circle there. But the thought around like medical and adult use, like ultimately I think it's about like being able to control your dose, being able to know what you're consuming and knowing what the right dose is. And that's where the logic of starting slow and low comes from. And I think Minnesotans have done a great job, the operators on even on the hemp side with like educating, because eventually Delta 9 made its way into hemp shops. And so you were able to get high off hemp, which when I initially started, hemp was something that didn't get you high, and obviously it's evolved.
Right.
And for the most part, I think for the good, but that's from a Minnesota perspective. I know not every state feels that same way.
Yeah. And I think too, it's a unique relationship that you guys have, here. I think also to think about too, like just going back to like the control of your own dosage, I think about when you think about like people who, and look, like I'm not going to like sit here and be like, they just haven't had the right dose, right? Like, but also, I think it's a lot easier to have an adverse experience when you don't feel like you're in control of it. So, hey, I'm going to put just a dollop. I'm going to put just a dollop and I'm going to work my way up to a teaspoon and then I'm going to work my way up to a tablespoon is going to be a lot better experience for that person versus somebody gave me, a 10, a 20, a 25 milligram edible. And then my cat was talking to me for like 4 hours. I had a terrible time. Like, I think the more, it's not just the control, but it's also like you were saying with the nurses, like stepping into the cannabis space and, announcing that, hey, we're cannabis nurses. Like, it's also the education piece of it. Like, hey, you need to know like what this is. This is going to affect everybody differently because it is, a chemical that's processed by the body, like runs through everybody's body's different. Like, I'm going to metabolize it differently than you do. Like, we could both take the same amount of like edibles and then, just sit here and have completely different experiences. You could be euphoric. I could be like stuck in myself. Like, it's just because, it's not quite 1-to-1. It's 1-to-1 for you. You know what I mean? Like, and if you don't feel safe to try, if you don't feel safe to consume or safe to experiment because you're not sure this or that, like, it's like we said, low and slow is always good advice. But I also feel like too, it's that thing of, if you feel that you have the control over the experience, it's more than likely going to go a lot better for you versus just feeling like this is lost to me and this is happening to me, because cannabis is something you experience. But I also feel like it's something that, there's good experiences, there's bad experiences.
Right. Well, and ultimately, like, what I think we're looking for is a certain level of familiarity throughout the customer journey.
Yeah.
And
well, analogs to things they already know.
Yeah.
It's not this foreign concept, because who doesn't or hasn't or doesn't know somebody that's cooked something for them with olive oil? Or, hey, we're going to make, pasta. I don't have a sauce. We're going to toss it in olive oil real quick, put a little Parmesan cheese on it. That's perfect. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these things that we can do with just like focusing on getting to an ingredient level, and I think it's control, it's options, it's flexibility. And then people can start to see themselves in those options where, my parents will probably never be like joints people, like as much as I would love it, I love my, eventually like, hey dad, we're going to do a bong rip. But, I think he'll probably be more of like an edibles guy, but he'll probably go like low 1-to-1s for him.
Yeah.
Like, just stuff like that you have to think about, but also, I don't know. Choices and freedom is always good.
Choices and freedom is good. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think the last time we spoke, it was literally Schedule 3 the executive order signed by President Trump was being signed.
Yeah.
Talk about a great day for recording. We had Luis Ballesteros on the show from Metric, like as the ink was drying. And then I believe you came on an hour later, but, and obviously things are still progressing with the potential around Schedule 3, the potential around the removal of Schedule 280E, but like, let's focus on what we can control or what we did control. And how did you enjoy the Canna Connect with Metric event that we put on in December?
Yeah, I always think those kind of things are some of the most beneficial like events that we can have in markets, especially where it's still relatively new. Like, I think we had talked about some of the operators that are the more established operators, like from this newest round of licensing. And, what are we talking about for some of them? Like 6 to, 8 months, right? Like, it's not a long time, but, I think when we kind of look at it and we kind of think about, what this can be doing, what this can be changing, like how this can impact us, right? I think we had that event, and it was great to just actually have people be able to ask questions from people that are actually like a voice of authority, like on the subject, like having Luis come like from Metric, and also like, hey, Luis has a lot of experience where it was, okay, I've been in this market, I've seen how we did this rollout. I think he was like, hopping on a plane for New York for, their switch over to their tracking system. Like, there's stuff going on all the time, but to be able to have somebody that can tell an operator either like, hey, this is something we're working on, and it's not like we heard through secondhand or person who knows somebody, like, this is us hearing this direct from them. And also we have the ability to like actually ask and receive answers for what are our actual burning questions. Because, I think a year ago when I was having conversations about Metric with folks in the state, like, it's like, okay, the metrics for what? Like, we're measuring what, right? Because it's not something that we can just be like, here you go here, you do this. Like, that is something you have to be an operator. You have to be approved to be able to like, even like get your instance, like have access to it, right? All those things. So it's just such a foreign concept that to be able to make it real to operators is something that I'm always going to advocate for. And especially to like, there's always a good reason to get the community together and show operators too that like, hey, you're not the only person sitting in this room having this thought, having this feeling, having this concern. And, we talked about people being able to see themselves in the products, like being able to see other operators in the room and go, oh, they're like me. They're doing this. They're struggling with these same things that I am. I think it opens up, more opportunities too for like community and collaboration.
Great. Yeah, I totally agree. We got a lot of good feedback from the event, and we hope to do it again this year in 2026. And I guess since then, like, how have the conversations been with potential operators or aspiring operators or current customers? Like, how are things advancing in Minnesota from your perspective?
I think they're advancing. We're starting to see, so we've had a good amount of people that are, getting ready to go with us, and, everybody's in various states of where they are. There's folks that, we've been talking for a while. They're about to open up their first location. There's some folks that are like, hey, we've got this one. Now we have a partner that's got this one, or, like all these different like configurations. It's great to see that now that we're actually in a space where the market is up and running. I think there's less of what we're talking about, to operators existing in kind of like a bubble where it's more of two. Like now there's also the fact that I can go talk to, so-and-so at this dispensary, go ask them how their experience is, or, hey, we've gotten up and running and now we're seeing these are things that we did not like see, like, how do we go about, like, what does your system do? So I think the way that the questions I'm being asked now compared to like a year ago, even in first conversations with like net new, like licensees who have like, there's a lot more like questions that are coming that are more thoughtful from like a lived in perspective versus I think where we were last year, where it was kind of like this is all conceptual.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I laugh because I've been preparing for our next event, which is the Lucky Leaf Expo and the Lucky Leaf After Party, and
I'm getting excited.
and I'm looking through the photos, and I see Gus Sevastos in one of the photos, and I'm like, oh, Gus was at the event. We didn't even know each other a year ago, and I'm glad you were there. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny how it goes from, oh, these are names in an email. These are faces on a Zoom call. These are these are, I think even to like just getting to know you a little bit better, like your experience. And the same with like the experience of like the operators I've gotten to talk to. Like there's some really cool people in Minnesota that are trying to get something going in cannabis. And some of these folks, it's, a dream. Like we talked about, I know there's a group here that, it's somebody has been a nurse for a while and their passion is cannabis. And now they're making the move to have the dispensary because that way, like, hey, I can make this move. I can do this thing, and now it's real. Like now it's a real thing. So it's a lot of fun having conversations, like knowing that it's not this thought exercise anymore of like, the Minnesota market, when it happens, is going to be really cool. It's no, it's now where, hey, the Minnesota market, when more operators get live, like then it's going to get really exciting.
I mean, now from the Moxie, you can actually walk to a store.
Yeah, I found another one too on my way over here, like taking a different street down, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna come next summer when I'm here. Oh my God, like it's
gonna revitalize Uptown. Well, I really think there's gonna be the cannabis boom. It won't sustain there. It's not like we're gonna have 8 or 10 dispensaries on Hennepin and Lindale forever.
Yeah,
but I really think it's gonna provide a boom. Like we joked about it last night. Like you couldn't afford 10 McDonald's on Hennepin and Lindale, but cannabis is a little different.
Yeah. And I think too, it goes back again to choices. Like everybody's different. The different brands have a real opportunity to like identify themselves, like figure out what their like spin is, what their perspective is. Maybe it's the way they do customer service. Maybe it's the products they're offering, you know?
And for now we're limited in our supply, and that's an inherent challenge in this industry. But like, before we move too far away off cannabis, I did want to provide you an opportunity to share. We talked about last year versus this year. Talk to me a little bit about how Dutchie has evolved in the last year or so plus. Like, tell me a little bit about Dutchie 2.0, as well as like even what you've rolled out at MJ Biz. And from a non-operator, like I'd love to learn a little bit more about the product that you sell.
Yeah. So I think it kind of goes back to our overall journey. We were kind of like founded off this idea that During Oregon's legalization boom back in 2015, our founder was waiting in a line for a dispensary that was just like down the street around the block, and he's like, I have been smoking my whole life. I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. I know that I just want to walk in there and be able to pick it up. Right. And so Dutchie kind of like came out of that. And so we launched as an e-commerce menu. We added point of sale functionality. And for a long time, there were a lot of things where I would have to tell somebody, okay, hey, we'll do this, we'll do that. And now you have to go to, 4 other companies for A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
Right. With all the things that we've done in the last year. So if you were having this conversation with me in December of, even 2024, hey, what does Dutchie do? I'd tell you what Dutchie does that day, right? Now you're having this conversation with me in January 2026. I'll tell you that Dutchie not only has e-commerce, not only has point of sale, but now we have marketing and loyalty, which includes like the messaging functionality. There's also a mobile app component, which is available on the Apple Store, is going to be available on the Google Play Store as well. So this is not like it's Dutchie app, and then I put in my zip code and I find a dispensary. Like it's actually branded to that dispensary. Yeah. So,
which I know a lot of folks listening are cannabis knowledgeable, but like if you're a cannabis touching company, you often can't have an app.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things with, how those regulations go and just what's there. But, we found ways that work, like other apps exist in the market as well. Like we're not the only ones doing what we're doing, but I think too, there's that. And then also, we went from kind of having a couple of different versions of the e-commerce solution to really making it, simplified for operators. So there's, the standard version, which is going to give you everything you need to run your business. Some folks are, extremely like SEO conscious or like want something that doesn't look like what just comes out of the box, right? Like they really want to work with a web developer or things like that to get a menu and a website looking exactly how they're hoping it looks.
Yeah.
That's what e-commerce pro is for. So that's something we launched last year as well. And those have all been up and running. We've had a lot of operators adopt them successfully. Some of our biggest customers, some of our Mario Hop Shops, they've all like seen the value in it and gotten on board.
Okay.
But you talked about Connect and Nexus. These are our newest things. Like these are about to launch, fairly imminently.
They debuted at MJ Biz as a concept or as a new coming soon.
Yeah. And I think this is something where it's just for holistically for like the market, there's some value that you can get out of the Connect portion, because there's Connect for retailers, which is going to do everything for them, like allow them to take the images from a brand and pull those into their menu. So if you're the brand and hey, I want my products to look like this, or this is how I want these images displayed, or like these are the like naming conventions I would like.
Yeah.
You can use our content portal to set that all up. And then an operator can just pull that into their point of sale environment. So they don't have to now go get those images from the brand. Like we'll help with that. There's other things that
a lot streamlined.
Yeah, just streamlining things like intelligent reordering, letting you know where your inventory is going or like the velocity of it. And then Nexus is kind of giving you that bird's eye view, like kind of, there's some folks that we know and operate in the state that are going to be doing well enough where they have people that are data analysis people and able to do all these things. And, for most operators, it's kind of limited on how good is my accountant or like how good am I at interpreting this data,
right?
So Nexus is there to kind of help put everything in an easily identifiable way where it's going to make it easy for you to see what's going on with your business and then take actions too. So stuff like, hey, this is how these products are moving. You need to do, you're selling them at this rate. You're going to probably need to do a reorder in this capacity. So it might be time to actually initiate, that reorder request to the brand or the operator now. Right.
Some good automations pulling through.
Yeah. Well, just things, but also too, it's not, we don't let the computer control your business. You're still running everything. So these are just insights that we put up in front of you, and then you can choose whether to notice them, acknowledge them, ignore them, like move on from them, or, we have the Nexus agent that's involved in that too. And that can help them with taking those quick actions. And just like, for example, one that we talk about that was on the floor at MJ BizCon was, hey, I'm, looking at my environment and I want to do something to, I want to set up a promotion to get my customers back that haven't shopped with me in 2 months, right? Nexus is perfect for that, where we'll go, okay, we're going to take you, we're going to, see, okay, here's 2 different segments of your customer band. that you might want to include in this promotion or like the outreach for it. And then cool, now we can do a little template that sends something to those customers that are part of that segment that haven't shopped with you in a while.
Yeah.
Just asking them, hey, do you want to come back and check this out? Here's here's something we can do for you. Here's new products that we have. Or, you talked about limited supply right now. I think it's the thing of, hey, we just got this product type in. We just got new flour from so-and-so, right? All these tools are just there in the system for operators to just organically have most of the things they need in one place to be able to do all those things that they need to do in their day-to-day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it from an operator recently. That's why I kind of wanted to ask. I was like, yeah, I was, because we're still early in this game. We're not exclusive with Dutchie. We love having you on the show, but it's good to hear from operators to hear like, where are they at? How are they feeling? And they said, well, the new features that Dutchie's rolled out, it really sets the brand apart. So I just wanted to hear it kind of from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm glad that the operators are liking it. And I think at the end of the day, these were not things that we designed going, what can we do to like do this and that? Like these were things that our operators were telling us, these are the actual changes that would improve like our bottom line. These are the things that would help us, streamline our operations or see what's going on because, we're still people at the end of the day. And I think the more information you can arm people with, the more they can do with it. And I think just having everything kind of all in one place at their fingertips and they can see, a pretty holistic picture of their entire business.
Right.
I think that's the more you can put in one place for an operator to save time and do more with less is always helpful, especially in cannabis where we have to be lean and we have to be scrappy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I hear, and I've seen it with my own two eyes, but the folks that are in this industry that are more at the micro business level, I mean, they are independents. They are mom and pops. They are, somewhere in the middle class, granted it's a spectrum. And then, they're putting their life savings into this, or they're raising from family and friends, which is often a huge risk. And, what are some of the misconceptions that those types of people have when they initially start talking to you, and where do you have to kind of help, round the corners around the brand as it is with Dutchie, which is one of the larger companies in the space?
I would say, first and foremost, it's not going to be easy. And anybody that thinks it's going to be, easy is, I think in some cases, getting your license might be the easiest part of the process of like opening and starting your own dispensary. And that's still really difficult,
Yeah.
But it's the same as like any, I think we talked a lot last night at dinner, like about retail entrepreneurship, like in how cannabis is kind of a perfect intersection of both. But in the same thing, how challenging is it to open your own business? And then also too, like how challenging is it in the retail space, not just currently, but like historically.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Or 6 days a week but I mean, a lot of the dispensaries are 7 days a week business.
And when you're a mom and pop, like operator starting out, like, a lot of times it's you, it's mom and it's pop. And then we'll get to the point where things are doing well enough. We can add somebody else. And, we start to scale up from there. But I think that would be, it's not going to be easy. Go low and slow, right? But also like start small, scale up. I think if your like space can hold 8 registers, maybe start with 5.
Yeah.
And then we can expand, the 3 registers. Otherwise, what could you do with that other space? How could you repurpose this? How does this, improve the customer experience? But then, okay, 5 registers isn't enough. Cool. Now we can add a 6. Now we can add a 7. Now we can add an 8, right? I think it's looking at your business, knowing what you're going to focus on, whether that's the products you sell, the customer experience you're going to deliver. I know there's like the lounge experience and things like that can help people like differentiate themselves. Or, with micro, you have the ability to have not just retail endorsement, but also like a cultivation, manufacturing endorsement. So I think the good news for the mom and pop operators is there's a lot of ways to identify yourself in this market because it's like you said, it's so new that, we have established players, but there's also the degree of it's proving grounds. It's an opportunity for everybody because right now, I'm sure somebody will say, oh, this is the best product. This is the best product. I think one of my favorite parts about seeing Ohio go from like medical to adult use is now I have conversations with my friends where they're like, oh man, I got something from, this cultivator. It's really good stuff. I'm like, I've been telling you guys about this for years. I'm so glad you finally got to try it. And
Wow.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's a lot coming online in 2026. You know, hospitality is a big part of my passion and,
Mhm.
and how my unique thing that I bring to the industry. And I read the papers, I read the food and culture, and I stay up to
Mhm.
date on restaurants. And like, we had a James Beard Award winning restaurant, best restaurant in, according to the James Beard Award in Minneapolis this past year,
Mhm.
Boucheron.
Mhm.
And it's a husband and wife, so it's a mom and pop independent. And Jeannie, the wife was interviewed in one of the food and culture magazines, and
Mhm.
she said, yeah, owning a restaurant doesn't mean that you take your hand off the wheel.
Yeah.
It actually means that you still close the restaurant.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to make that comparison to dispensaries, because I don't, I haven't personally operated, but I think if you aren't really paying attention to your brand, I mean, I can talk about it from Canna Connect's perspective,
Yeah.
like, I came home from dinner last night and I wrote the newsletter.
Yeah.
Like the work has to get done.
Yeah.
You can't just put it on autopilot and expect somebody else to do it. It's your brand at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Well, that's the thing too. There's nobody else. Like at the end of the day, the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing too, is there are people that can help. There are great like organizations that consult out there, but like they can give you all the knowledge in the world. You still have to execute,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
look, I mean, again, we talked about it, like, just running any kind of like business, starting any kind of business is challenging. So, it's not, getting your license is not a guaranteed like path of success. But in the same token, if you keep your hand on the wheel, if
Mhm.
you are actively not just a part of your business, but also trying to be a part of your community,
Yeah.
and I think that's one thing that Minnesota does that I really like is, these operators that are coming from the community are parts of their community. Like
Yeah.
it's not just, oh, this is our dream that we're doing. It's also in a way like that we can give back, that we can help our community grow. We can provide jobs in our town. Like there are just a lot of options that it means for folks. And I think cannabis is a really awesome and exciting entrepreneurship like opportunity, but it's still a difficult like process, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's also a great exercise in culture, and
Mm-hmm.
as we see the compacts getting signed and the cooperative agreements getting signed, and we start to see more tribal businesses operating off of reservation land, like
Mm-hmm.
it's also an opportunity for Canna Connect to learn more and to better understand indigenous culture, and really for the first time.
Yeah.
And you and I were around the same age, and this is my first foray into really cultural understanding.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a lot of work to do societally, but I think cannabis is it's a, uh, it's an industry where we're very much going to be working with the tribes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that aspect too. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that as I wear a native character.
No, I think too, like it's an awesome like opportunity that we have for collaboration, and also too, we can all be stronger together, like
Mhm.
I think that's the thing is you talked about cooperatives, you talked about like just like agreements and other groups and people becoming aware of, things that they might not have known about the place that they've always been, and
Mhm.
I think that that's a cool thing too, is I have met such like a diverse array of people like in cannabis, like it's not the same faces all the time. Like it's very different groups with very different like, but in the same token, there's a love for the plant,
Mhm. Yeah.
there is a desire to like unite people, and like provide cannabis as either, relaxation for some folks or medicine for other folks. But I I think there's more that we can be, doing,
Mhm.
but I also know that the fact that that is like some of the newer operators, like first instincts is to lean with the collaborative angle
Sure.
is pretty encouraging to see too.
Yeah, and it's also incredible to see, like, every 2 years, like, new people come into the space and you
Mhm.
think, "Oh, wow, like, you're new here," and then 2 years go by and they've developed a name for themselves and they found their niche, and it's like it's also, I mean, you think about, like, markets and stocks and things like that as well, where it's like, "Oh, like, you're late." Well, there's still a ride to be had. There's still a journey to be on, and you don't have to start at 1997 or 2014 or 2023 to find success. But you do need a strong approach to find success.
Yeah. No, you can't go into this not having a plan, not having a direction, not having a vision,
Yeah.
because just to go and to do it, I don't know that that's necessarily like enough. I think in some places where there's nothing, I think that's enough. But I think when you have, the opportunity to have a big, vibrant market with a diversity of like operators, diversity of brands, diversity of products, I think you got to lean in, you got to go for it, because this now, we're talking about, it'll be interesting to like sit back down with you, in 2028.
Sure.
And, yeah. Write it down, January 2028, follow-up episode.
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. But I think, it'll be interesting to see what we're talking about in terms of the market and the direction then, because we're not going to be talking about these same things that we're talking about now.
No.
And even then, we're not talking about the same things that we were talking about even in the fall.
Yeah.
When we started talking a lot more. Like,
Yeah.
it's all changed. Like, it's all changing, it's all evolving, and just adaptability is a key too. Like, have a plan, but be able to pivot, be able to change, and not be married to things that aren't working.
Right. But easier said than done if you're the Cleveland Browns.
There you go again. New coach, new dreams, new hopes.
Stefanski he got canned.
Yeah, they canned Stefanski right after. Which, hey, beating the Bengals is not going to save your job. I'm sorry. I got to see them beat the Steelers the week before, so that was my Super Bowl and my playoff wins.
Was the game in Cincinnati, game 18?
Yeah, we played Cincinnati in Cincinnati because we opened the season in August with them or September with them in Cleveland.
Who has been your favorite Cleveland Browns coach in your childhood, in your lifelong fandom?
Honestly, probably Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
But it's somebody said, like he's here for 6 years. 4 of the 6 years weren't good. And objectively, 4 of the 6 years were really bad, including this year and last year. But I will say the 2 seasons that were good seasons were some of like my top football memories, like lifetime.
Right. Did he come out of the gate with a winning season? Or was it the second year?
Yeah, no, he did the first year because that was it was 2020, so that was the pandemic season.
Oh.
And as things got worse and scarier in the world, the Cleveland Browns did a lot better. And it was one of those things where I'm like, oh God, are we bringing about the end of the world right now? We're gonna win the Super Bowl and then that's it. Like, oh no,
because he came from the Vikings, so I remember tracking a little bit of his career there.
Well, it's actually it's the first game that I saw here was Vikings game facing the Browns, like when he had been the coach, and it was it's nice that I've been to at least the games I go visit have been mostly wins.
Okay.
But of course, like most of my season ticket wins, which I think I had 3, where they made me feel good for like an hour, and then I'm like, oh God, I still have to be a Browns fan next year. So we're gonna have a new coach. It'll probably be Coach Prime. Listen, don't believe the hype. It's gonna be Dion. So
that would be incredible.
It would be. I don't think there's ever been a father-son.
Is he in the coach
like starting
floating now?
No, he's
no.
He hasn't been offered anything.
Okay.
I think that's the Reddit the Reddit idea. They're gonna fire him and bring in Dion. I say, well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But
yeah, I doubt it. But Shadour's signed, so he'll get another shot next year.
Yeah, I think he'll get a shot. Honestly, like I'm hoping we get like an offensive-minded head coach, or we just promote Jim Schwartz, our defensive coordinator, because it's a lot of things you can say about the Browns, and it's hard to say that a 5-12 team has what I would call an elite defense, but that's certainly what we have.
A record-breaking
year, and it's just how wasted. We're gonna have Carson Schweizinger is he just got nominated for Rookie of the Year.
Oh,
so I don't know if he wins overall, but defensive Rookie of the Year, but it should be a lock because that guy 90% of the tackles that the Browns had on defense this year were pretty much him. Like, they're like, and it's so-and-so and Schweizinger, so-and-so and Schweizinger, so-and-so. Like, so I think he had 150-something tackles in his rookie season, which is unheard of. But yeah, so.
Well, as long as you're cheering for the Minnesota market, I'll be, looking out for the Browns.
I'll cheer for the market, and if the Vikings were in the playoffs, I'd be cheering for them. But we're both just enjoying January, going, who do I want to see be sad right now? And I got to see Pittsburgh be sad.
Wow.
Monday night, which was a short-lived joy for me because one of my best friends, who is a Pittsburgh fan, Tomlin announced he's stepping down the following day. So he was, I think, more happy about that than he was angry about how the season ended.
Wow.
So
yeah, I hope Aaron Rodgers hangs it up as well. I've had enough.
No.
Had enough of Aaron Rodgers.
I've had enough of Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know that he can hang it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we also had Phillip Rivers come back. So
yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, nothing is impossible, and who knows who's going to win the Super Bowl? So
yeah, do you have any predictions on that?
Oh, I don't know. Everybody that I don't want to win it is already out. So
NFC, AFC, any leanings on that?
I guess the Browns are in AFC, so I'll root for that. But I don't know. It'd be cool to see, one of the teams who nobody was expecting to actually take it. But it's been an open football year, which has been kind of cool. Chiefs, not a contender,
right?
Not making a run to the Super Bowl. It's okay.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, the Bears are not who we thought they were.
No. The Bears are actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe actually, honestly, if I'm rooting for one team, it's probably like on the NFC, it's the Bears, and I would say on the AFC, it's the Broncos, because I lived in Denver, and also it's, hey, I like a scrappy young team just trying to figure out what the hell we're doing, because the Cleveland Browns don't know what they're doing ever. So anybody that's like, oh wow, they're doing it, I'm rooting for them.
Right on. Yeah, and if people aren't sure what they're doing or want to reach out and pick your brain, what's the easiest way to get in touch?
Yeah, probably, LinkedIn or my email. I'm anybody that's got a license, or you even just have questions, things like that. I'm happy to be an open resource any way that I can.
Sure.
But I think for me too, there's a wealth of resources that are out there, like Canna Connect and other folks too. So I think, happy to point people in directions. I can easily be a tour guide as much as I can. If you're hey, I would love to know about an operating system.
Yeah.
Great. I can tell you all about what Dutchie can do for you in your dispensary, your cultivation, your manufacturing. Otherwise,
sure.
I'm happy to point you hey, I'm looking for somebody that might do this. Happy to point you in directions. So.
Yeah. Amazing. And we appreciate Dutchie's support over the last, 6 months or so that it's been, and, look forward to a more successful 2026 for everyone involved. And, cheers to the future. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
And absolutely. I'm excited for what comes next.
Yeah, excited for 2026.
No doubt.
Sweet.